What's good, y'all? It's me, Chris, back here with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the Netflix docuseries Tiger King. I'm so excited to discuss this series with y'all. Listen, this is a special occasion for me, so I wanted to dress appropriately as such. A few people commented on my last video how I unintentionally matched the self-made poster. So I said, you know what? Let me get something for the girls to turn up to, something cute, something for the quarantine. So here I am, dressed appropriately as such. If y'all have not seen this docuseries, Tiger King, please watch it. It is must-watch television. This is Netflix's bread and butter. Like these type of docuseries that they do, perfect. Do more of this. The Aaron Hernandez docuseries was really good. I didn't get a chance to watch the Gabriel Fernandez docuseries because to me it just seemed too heartbreaking, but I was told that was very compelling and very interesting. And I know sometimes these docuseries do seem a little bit exploitative, like they're essentially capitalizing on people's tragedy and traumas. But listen, I don't care about insane white people and exploiting them. So this is the type of entertainment that I'm here for. This is quarantine supreme content. Netflix needs to do more of this. This was such a good watch. It's only 7 episodes. They vary from 45 minutes to an hour. You can get through it in one day. You will want to get through this in one day. That's how interesting and engaging and captivating this series is. It's so freaking good, y'all. It is a docu-series that documents the lives of 3 tiger enthusiasts, zookeepers, if you will, based out of Oklahoma and Florida. Listen, to me, the premise of this is just privilege and capitalism. Like, this is the shit you get to do when you don't have to worry about poverty. Like, imagine the things, the foolery that you can get into when you don't have to worry about money. This is literally what we say when this is literally what we mean when black people say white people shit. This is the supreme white people shit. Normally, you would describe this type of project as being a roller coaster. You know, there was so many twists and turns. They threw us through so many loops, and it's like, nah. A roller coaster has valleys. It has moments for you to catch your breath. This was a constant ascent of shock and disbelief every single episode. So this main series focuses on 3 zookeepers of the name of Carole Baskin, Joe Exotic, and Doc Antle, and we're going to get into them in detail. But first, I want to start off by saying that they all should be in jail. Not a single one of them should be roaming these streets free. I don't understand. That was the shock to me at the end of the season, was how was Joe Exotic the only one that suffered substantial consequences for his actions? All of them should be locked up. All of them. They position Carole Baskin to be like this tiger crusader who cares about the well-being of the animals, with the juxtaposition of Joe and Doc being like these animal abusers. But I'm like, they're all doing the same thing. They're all running cults. These are 3 cult leaders manipulating, exploiting, brainwashing, and conditioning so many freaking humans. These are cult leaders. Lock them up in jail. Get them out of here. So the first person that I want to talk about is Joe Exotic. Like, what a fucking character. So larger than life, almost even like non-human like you can't believe that he's real. Like, his persona almost even transcended his foolery. Like, some people were deeming him to be likable. Like, some people were standing him. And I'm like, y'all are standing this man? Y'all are standing a fool. Joe is Boo Boo the Fool. That fool was blindly trusting so many people. He was easily influenced. For someone so self-centered, you think that he would have known better to protect his assets. For someone who was such a narcissist, you think that he'd be a bit smarter in the way he would conduct his business. It was so interesting seeing Joe get played by Jeff. Like, Jeff came in and positioned himself as this rich millionaire Captain Save-A-Ho and was going to rescue the day, was going to rescue Joe from Carole Baskin. And what did that fool do the moment he was able to get close enough to Joe and his assets and his business? He flipped that shit all into his name and said, "I'm the captain now." He said, "I'm the captain now." Like, how could Joe be that trustful respectful towards somebody who was scamming as much as Jeff was. I don't know. Do you think, I don't know, like, did he not have any idea of his background? Do you not realize that birds of a feather flock together? Like, I'm not really sure how Jeff was able to come and just swoop in and save his business. When they presented him in the docuseries, I thought, I actually was surprised when he took his zoo, for sure. But I don't know how Joe was that engulfed in his own self that he couldn't realize that Jeff was just coming here to be opportunistic. That's exactly what Jeff is. That fool only cares about himself and his well-being, and getting pussy. This is a man who really genuinely did not care about animals. Like, you saw that when he did a little interview with the lion and he was in the cage with his wife, and his reaction to that, and the way that he used cubs to get women and interact with lots of women in Las Vegas. Poor fucking Joe to believe in this man. Like, Joe really was willing to do any and everything. Like, he was so desperate to gain power and control, always yearning for like something, right? Like, always trying to get some type of gain of success, whether that be like with a partnership that he had with Joe, whether that was he wanted to be a singer and performer, selling merchandise, even running for governor. Like, the man was addicted to freaking fame, and that shit is a drug and really will ruin the trajectory of your life. Like, also, Joe's a predator. I just want to make that clear. Joe is a predator. He was married to two young men of the age of 19, two young, impressionable 19-year-olds. Listen, I don't have a problem with non-monogamy in any shape or form, but I think to the way that Joe and also Doc Antle took advantage of these young, impressionable people, disgusting. Fucking disgusting. Joe provided them with all the drugs and resources that they would need, let them know that they couldn't leave the facility, that they couldn't get a job, that everything that they needed, Joe would be able to provide for them. And to me, that is so manipulative and is so self-centered and so selfish. Like, clearly Joe didn't ever in my opinion, I don't think Joe ever really loved these people. I think Joe saw having two partners as like trophy wives, if you will, as a, like I said, as a status of class, as a status to like insert himself as some type of dominance. The gag was with those men is that they were straight. They were straight. They were hooking up with all the women on the fucking zoo grounds. Oh my fucking God. Of course these men were straight. I'm sorry, but anybody who in their right mind at a young, tender age who was 40 years their junior, 40 years their junior that will hook up with Joe, of course that shit is not real. Of course that shit is not real. Of course they're fucking straight. And I want to clarify anybody who thought like, oh, sexuality is on the spectrum and like these men could be bisexual. No. It's very easy when you are desperate for something and you have a yearning for it that you will do anything to gain access to it. Listen, gay men do this all the time because of the society that we live in. They will rather not deal with the trauma that comes with being an out queer man. They would rather live their lives of straight, so they marry women, have sex with women while still being heavily attracted to men and still interacting and having many encounters with men. Like, this is something very easy that people do. I can easily see 100% how these men maintain their straight sexuality and still parade it around as Joe's zoo concubine, if you will. Like, the shit was crazy. I feel very sad for Travis that he just got too inside of himself and just couldn't see any way out other than killing themselves. I did watch a really good discussion on Tiger King with a bunch of black women. It was on For Harriet on her Patreon, and there were some people actually in that discussion that may have thought that this was an accident, that Travis was playing around with a gun and he didn't realize that it had bullets and that he just accidentally shot himself. I could see that. To me, I read it as more being suicidal than anything. And based on the campaign manager, well, it didn't come off as if Travis was playing around. I know that in a podcast, there's a podcast about Tiger King, and they do make it seem more as if it being an accident. But I don't know. Either way, it's very tragic. I'm very glad that John was able to get out and John was able to get his teeth fixed. And he also later then testified against Joe. Like, he was not having it. But that whole partnership with Joe and those young boys, to me, just read it as predatory and manipulative, and it made me so uncomfortable the whole entire time. And I'm glad that John was able to get out of that and find some type of relief in his partnership with his current girlfriend and child. I think that it is so disgusting that less than 2 months later, he was remarried to another young man and then invited the mother of Travis to the wedding as a prop. He didn't invite anyone else except for the mother and one other person, I can't remember, to the ceremony, and publicized it, and it presented it as, oh, you see, everything's okay now. If the mother's okay with it, we as a public can move on. And it is fucking disgusting. He almost pretended as if, it almost seemed like as if Travis didn't even exist, as if he was more concerned about feeling that partnership up again instead of taking the time to heal and mourn his husband who shot himself in the head. Like, that shit is weird to me. It's sick. It is sick. The campaign manager mentioned it, that all he could focus about was getting back into another partnership, that he didn't care about running for government at that time. He didn't care about the business and any aspect, that his mind was so focused on partnership. And I just want to say that to me is a sign of our society, to show how much we value like people who are in relationships versus people who are single. I even witnessed this I even experienced this as a 31-year-old. I definitely think that people think since I don't have a partner, or since I don't have kids, that I'm not doing as much and I'm always like available, that I am not as of value. And it is the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, I got shit going on. Like, yeah, I don't have to have kids and I don't have a partner, but like that doesn't mean that other people are not a priority in my life, and doesn't mean that I'm not doing other activities that are not a priority. So maybe if Joe just focused on being a single entity, he wouldn't have been so desperate and feeling the need to be seen as of value to society with another partner. It was fucking weird. Everyone in Joe's zoo was either poor, homeless, newly released from jail. Like, Joe, they positioned it as Joe trying to be like this Captain Save-A-Ho, to be really concerning to the needy. And like, yeah, I guess like something is better than nothing, but like Joe literally had like criminals running his zoo for the low. He was getting a discount, because had he had highly trained employees who studied zoos and animals, he would have been out of pocket for the type of pay that he would need to pay his employees to be running this type of zoo. So very much just exploiting their struggles for them to get into the zoo. Disgusting. They're all like that. They have, all these zookeepers have very much common threads of being exploitative, cult-like, and predators. I will say that the workers of GW Zoo probably were the only people throughout the documentary that really actually cared for these animals, that they had a genuinely loyalty and joy of taking care of the animals that was on Joe's zoo, even to the point where one of his staff members got their arm bit off and returned to work in 7 days. 7 days. Hell the fucking no. Sav is, I feel uncomfortable that Joe encouraged, maybe if he didn't encourage, but just unconsciously letting Sav be released from the hospital within 7 days to return to work, because they didn't want so much media heat on Joe. What? I'm not okay with that. Like, listen, they didn't even have enough human decency for Sav. Now, I'm not sure what happened, but I was thankfully reading on Twitter and I came across an article that Sav is actually a trans man. And in this documentary, they kept misgendering him constantly. And if you would have picked up on some clues, if you would have paid attention a little bit more, you actually would have seen this, that when they're addressing him in the hospital, they say he with the 911 call as well. And then you see on the screen, his name is in like quotations as Saf, but that's the trans man's name. His name is Saf. It is a he, and that also just goes to show the lot of bit of transphobia that was glossed over in this docuseries. But wow, these staff members were highly dedicated, like nobody's else, to the extent of ripping off your arm and coming back to work in 7 days. Like, yikes. His first thoughts when Saf's arm was ripped off by that tiger was, I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like, what the fuck? Does Saf know this? Saf went on all these interviews talking about his loyalty to Joe and to the zoo and the animals, when Joe, all he could think about was if he would be able to financially recover from this. Was he thinking about his finances when he set his studio on fire? Was he thinking about financially recovering from that? While Joe was away on a vacation, his studio, with all the footage from his producer that he was working with, in addition to other footage, was set on fire. After falling out from an argument that he and his producer had, when Joe found out that his producer owned everything in his contract. Was Joe worried about his finances then? Arson, a whole ass arsonist who put his producer into a panic attack because the nigga was so self-centered and so narcissistic that he wanted full control of everything. Yikes. And also it turns out that there may have been some footage that could have been used in correlation to some charges. So it also turns out that he may have been trying to evade some charges by setting his studio on fire. I think Joe did that shit. I totally think Joe's capable of having someone take care of that. The way he went about it afterwards, and the way he was like essentially trying to like curate this story, you could see like he was practicing his lines when they were talking about when he's in the burnt down studio recording like a response and how he felt about the fire. So contrived. That's what I wanted to say. This whole situation was so contrived. Joe is such a manipulator. He's so good at playing the victim. Joe is so fucking good at playing the goddamn victim, throwing stones and then putting it behind his back. That is Joe in a nutshell. We're going to be talking about his campaigning and his hit out on Carole later on, but let's get into his mentor, Doc Antle. Lock him up. Lock him up. Put him in jail. Keep Joe out of the company. That man is running a cult. That nigga is giving me R. Kelly of Tigers. Very much R. Kelly of Tiger tease. Like, the nigga condition young women to see him as a source of enlightenment by having sex with him. If that doesn't scream R. Kelly to you, I don't know what it is. We got to speak to a young woman who worked at the zoo from 1997 to 2007, and she said very much that it was positioned as like this opportunity, as this adventure to learn and have like a mentorship. And what did he do? He sat there and used them to be his concubines of the zoo. What the fuck? He was running a cult. He was running a cult, point paper. He told them what to eat, what to wear, and even changed their names, y'all. He even changed their names and even had the young woman who was being interviewed forced her to do a breast job. There was no questions. It was, this is what time your breast job is at. And she took it because she was being overworked so much that she said that she did it just for the sake of resting. Because he had them working from 8 a.m. to midnight for $100 a week, y'all. $100 a week, and you're eating cockroach bread. I know we're talking about a lot of different animals and delicacies, but I don't think cockroach bread is part of any cultural delicacy. That is disgusting. Lock Doc Antle up, please, y'all, please. We all know he was killing tigers. We all know. We all know as soon as they were done with the Cub stage, that's what she said. The young woman said, "Oh, we weren't allowed to inquire about them. They were just gone the next day." That man was killing tigers and seeing this shit as business. Lock him up. Lock him up. Listen, I would not be following any man that believes in mystical science. What is mystical science? What is that? That sounds like a contradiction. Mystical is something to be far-fetched, unexplainable, where science is like it's testable, there's been a hypothesis, it's been proven. You believe in something that's contradictory, I'm not following you. Mystical science, someone please Google that and tell me, find me proof that that's real. And he had them call him Lord. Lock him up. He's got to go to jail. He's got to go to jail. He's one espresso away from snapping. We will have another docuseries if y'all don't lock that motherfucker up now. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite nemesis, Carole Baskin. Now, if they were actually giving out a title for Tiger King, I would say it would be her. She would be Tiger King. She's very intentional. She's very calculated, very deceptive. You can see it in her eyes. There is something that she is not telling us that is deep embedded into those baby blues. I'm not saying she killed her husband, but for sure she 100% knows about the disappearance and the death and the potential death of her husband. She is very much in the know and very much a part of all that scamming. Like, even the whole situation, how her and Don met, the fact that she was wandering the streets after she got into an argument with her first husband, and the fact that he just wanted to talk and he saw this young blonde woman out wandering the streets and said, "Oh, I promise you I'm not dangerous, point this gun at me," while we drive around the town and talk the whole entire time. Like, weird. If you didn't think that at the end of their partnership one of them was going to be dead, I don't know what to tell you. Like, their partnership started off out of adultery. Like, the man had a whole ass wife and 2 kids. If you didn't think something was going to end up fucked for one of them, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you literally partnered up with a man who had a wife and children. Like, both of them crazed. She was passionate about these cubs and tigers. She all of a sudden started having this awakened moment and raised conscious, where she realized that cub breeding was no longer what she wanted to do, and she cared about the well-being of the actual animals. And Don was not into that. He was into trying to find easier access to breeding the cubs. He would bring some down to Costa Rica, and I guess because their laws and legislations are a little bit freer, he was able to do that. So, but nope, Carole didn't like that shit, and she had a gone. Listen, all the timeline and evidence points to Carole. Like I said, you can see it in her eyes. Like, she even seems almost even unbothered by her death. Like, I know we all process death differently, and we all have different timelines in which we heal. But, like, she said it. She said, when she saw the death certificate, she looked out into the window, and when she had realized it was dark, she said that was her only moment of mourning her husband. I don't know. I don't trust her. I don't trust her. Put her in jail too. Jail. I told you, they all fucking belong in jail. And the way she fucked over Don's daughters and only gave them 10%. Don was a millionaire in the 80s, 90s. Millionaire in the 80s, 90s. And she only gave his daughters 10% of the business. She's running a cult. She has the volunteers working for free. 6 days a week, 12-hour days. That poor young intern who is brainwashed and thinking that she's getting some type of real life experience when she is just fucking being exploited. Carole and her husband get tens of thousands of dollars from social media a week. Where's the money going? Not to the volunteers. It's clearly going to suing the fuck out of Joe. And it's not going to the animal sanctuary. It looks shittier than Joe's place. This is a place where animals are not pet, and we don't touch the animals, and we don't do breeding. We care about the quality and the life of the animals. It looks like Joe's zoo. It looks like Joe's zoo. So the money is not going there. It's clearly going into all the legal cases in which she's pursuing Joe because she fucking hates Joe. Carole hates Joe just as much as Joe hates Carole, but Carole is really smart and doesn't showcase that aspect of her. Trust me, Carole hates Joe just as much. It's just that she is actually smart and Joe is not. Joe is dumb. But trust me, Carole hates Joe just as much. So Carole's been spending all that money not playing her in. She has fucking employees that have worked there for 5 years. No, she's not spending her money paying them who've been working there for 5 years, who she doesn't even acknowledge. She said in an interview at the 5th year, "Oh, you look kind of familiar." Cut! Could you imagine working for your boss for 5 years and they say, "You look kind of familiar"? There is no genuine appreciation for her volunteer workers. She doesn't give a fuck. If anything, her passion is pursuing Joe, and that's social media shit. That's what brings her joy, because pursuing Joe means that she gets to insert her dominance, right? Talk about capital. That's what that shit is. I mean, she went after Joe's assets, Joe's parents' assets. Like, that's what she cared about. And she cared about the money that she was getting because that fuels her hatred for Joe. I'm not being fooled by anyone. Fuck Carole Baskin. Joe really hates Carole, and he hates everyone, quite frankly, but I find it interesting that he said that Joe and Carole are running scams and that they're the real criminals. I'm like, you're all criminals. You're all fucking criminals. Every single last one of you. Jail. This is the comment thread that's going to be throughout this video. Jail. I hope they use this documentary to put everyone in jail. I hope that this is proof to put everyone in jail. Everyone deserves to go in jail in this documentary, into this docuseries. So let's talk about this hit that Joe put out on Carole. The first thing I just want to say is that why is not Jeff, Alan, and James all in jail with him? Why are they not all in jail with him? Like, they are just as complicit in this alleged hit for hire as Joe is. Like, if we're really gonna go there, if we're really gonna, one, the whole thing is a reach. If anything, the whole thing is a reach. But if we're gonna reach that far, why are we not grabbing all of these other shady ass, untrustworthy motherfuckers and locking them up as well? That was a weird thing to me. James, the fat guy with the red haircut, he was like, "Oh, I thought it was a noble thing to do." No, you were more interested in protecting your own ass. You said yourself you had a case out on a femur, that you had some charges with a femur, and that this was your way to evade those charges. The noble thing. These motherfuckers are... How does no one see right through them? If I was any one of them, I would not trust no one. I wouldn't trust a single person. I would not trust a single person. All of these people are interested in their own selves. They have no interest in other one else except for their own well-beings. It was weird. The fact that you cannot be convicted for being an accomplice, like guilty by association, I don't get it. Like, for sure, at least with James, or I believe his name was Alan, like, didn't he take the money and start to head down there? I'm so confused. Like I said, I definitely for sure think that Joe hated Carole, and I think that he was not smart by making that be so known through his social media platforms, through the music that he did, through every single aspect in which he was featured on camera. He was very threatening towards Carole, like, and sometimes would exhibit those threats by blowing up, by shooting a blow doll, or hoping that saying like, "You hope a tiger mauls her." Like, yikes. For sure, Joe definitely did not have it out for Joe. Definitely had it out for Carole, and I think like him making that beef so known made it more believable to 12 people that he would have easily put out a hit on Carole, because there was just so much of that documented on video and in audio. Unfortunately, did James, Allen, or Jeff even get probation? Like, after Joe was convicted, that all of them get to roam the streets freely without any type of consequences, like not even as little as probation? Listen, I'm not in the free Joe camp. I do feel bad that Joe was the only one who got some actual serious consequences. So I'm not on the free Joe. I'm more like on the lock them up, lock the rest of them up. Then, okay, like lock the rest of them up. That's what my Twitter account was going to be. Not free Joe Exotic. He could go. He could go in there. He definitely has done some shady ass shit. And to me, this is all like he's just serving his time for all the fuck shit that he got away with, killing the tigers and setting his shit on fire and just being like an evil dick ass person, just exploiting everyone else. Like, okay, we could lock you up for that, but if he's gonna be locked up, lock everybody else up. To me, it just didn't make any sense. But I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that Joe really wanted to have a hit out on Carole, but like I said, because he hated her so much, it made that really easy to believe. I was really gagged when Carole's response was like, well, you know, if someone did kill me, this would really just only then further push the movement even forward. Like, everyone is so self-serving. Everyone is so self-serving. They only care about themselves. She literally said, fine, kill me. That's only going to make my mission statement even stronger. Like, girl, the narcissism. And the fact that everyone turned on Joe, like, poor Joe. I do feel bad for that. Like, damn, no one had your back. Everyone turned on Joe. All his zoo workers. Some people even went to court and testified against that shit. His husband, Allen and James were there. Like, everyone turned on fucking Joe. Like, damn. You hate to see it. Joe wasn't interested in being no damn politician. He was just interested in the notoriety of it, the celebrity of it all. Like, Joe was addicted to fame. He wanted to be seen. He wasn't interested in the business of the animals. He was interested in himself. He was branding himself. He was really addicted to fame. Like, people will do anything to be seen. Clout is an addicting drug. We see that every single day on social media, that people will want to be viral at the expense of any situation. Girl looking ice cream in the grocery store 2 years ago. People looking toilet seats right now. People opening up caps at the grocery store and sipping on them. People just want to be seen and be acknowledged. Narcissism is such a fucking toxic. It's so fucking toxic. The last thing I just want to end on is that, what is the appeal of wildlife? Like, what is the appeal of it? Is it adrenaline? Is it the thrill? Is it the fact that, like, you don't see these in every single day, like city life? Like, what is the appeal of wildlife? The fact that there are literally tens of thousands of tigers in private institutions in America is alarming. That's alarming, right? Like, the fact that your neighbor somewhere in the Midwest or in the South has a fucking tiger. I just want to know. I want to know. And the fact that this all takes place in Oklahoma and Florida is so telling. Honestly, we shouldn't be shocked. Oklahoma and Florida. Of course shit like this happens. Of course shit like this happens. Of course. The last thing I want to end on is, everyone on Tiger King is racist. Everyone on Tiger King is racist. Did you see any niggas? Did you see any niggas? No, because niggas not fucking with this shit. We not fucking with this shit. I will say, day in, day out, everyone on Tiger King is racist. That just goes without being said. I didn't even see no black people. We didn't even discuss race on this. For sure, everyone on Tiger King is racist. That's all my thoughts that I have. I really love this docuseries. I would suggest y'all to please, please, please watch it. It is worth your time. I promise you, Netflix continue to keep doing shit like this. We want to see all the weirdness that is going on in this country. especially when it's some white people shit. You love to see it. That's all the thoughts that I have on Tiger King. Please leave all your thoughts in the comments below. What did y'all think of it? Did you enjoy it? Who is your favorite to hate in this docuseries? Let me know. Let's have a conversation in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the krisbeknowin family if you enjoyed my content as well. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye!